This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
On a weekly basis. He is ready to join us and talk a little Heat basketball after that mess last night. Mr. Chiang, good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Big O. It was a long night last night, that's for sure. Not the one I expected when you're facing a Warriors team without Steph, Draymond, and Clay.
Or without Embiid and Harden. It's the last
Yeah.
two games have been unacceptable, actually. Anthony, screw the game. What happened last night, dude? What the
Yeah,
hell happened on the sidelines there? What the hell happened with Jimmy Butler? For Spo to act the way he acted,
right.
I've never seen that. And for UD to want to kick your ass, that's bad, dude. That's
Yeah.
bad. They can downplay all they want. What the hell happened?
Yeah, last night you saw frustration boil over. Tied at half, Warriors going a 13-0 run. Heat called timeout. I don't know for sure if this is the reason why. It probably was a ton of factors, but the play before the timeout, Jimmy Butler is slow to close out to a three-point shooter. The Warriors make a three. I immediately watched the timeout. Like, I don't really watch many timeout huddles, but I kind of figured this one was going to be interesting. So I had my eyes on it the entire time. And Spo was visibly upset. You could tell. He said something to the team and kind of waited and stood there quiet with his arms crossed, sitting there in front of his, the players that were on the court, and just waiting, I guess, for them to see what they would say to him. And something Jimmy said, we don't know what it is, set Udonis and Spo off. And you're right. Udonis, we've seen him get angry before on the court, right? Not at a teammate, but we've seen him.
I like that, yeah.
He's emotional. But Spo, it's very uncharacteristic of him. I'm sure that happens behind closed doors a lot. But for him to show that public emotion, and it was, it was for a while. It was probably a couple minutes that he was going after Jimmy and trying to get his message across to him. And even in the following timeout, a few minutes later, Spo and the coaching staff just stood with their arms crossed outside of the huddle as the players kind of controlled the team huddle. The team went on a run in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter, the Warriors dominated. And obviously, the loss was bad, but that verbal altercation, whatever you want to call it, that's the story of the night. And that's what people are going to be talking about here for the next few days.
And I know that they rigged it in a way where they put out the right players out there to answer questions for you guys and tell you nothing.
No open locker room. No open locker room. That's the problem with no open locker room.
Right. But even with an open locker room, they could have kept Jimmy out of the locker room from you guys and keep him in the training room, and he can get dressed back there and leave. So he can hide from you guys because they've done it to me when I was a beat guy too. But bottom line is Jimmy's going to have to talk at one point or another. And here's the question I have for you, because I said this before. They're lucky, Jimmy's lucky, that this is a playoff team that has a lot of potential, and they're tied to his salary, because this is a long suspension type of altercation that went on last night. Maybe it becomes only a 1-game suspension or something along those lines, but that was a serious act. The problem is the Heat are in a terrible position right now.
Yeah.
They're tied fiscally to them. So if you wanted to unload them, it'll be impossible. Okay. And then 2, you actually have a legitimate chance to make a deep run if you straighten your crap out here in the Eastern Conference. So the Heat have to walk a real fine line here with all of this.
Yeah. And for my reporting, I do not believe a suspension or a fine is coming for anybody involved. Not even for Jimmy. I don't think. I think they're going to try to move past this as quickly as possible. Not have this become a story for a multiple day story, even though it will be when they have to speak. When Jimmy has to speak, probably tomorrow after the game. But I don't believe a suspension or fine is coming. But yes, I think they are in a tough position. And
is that why a suspension or a fine isn't coming? Because they can't gain anything from it. He's not going to learn a damn thing. It's only going to hurt them if they want to try to unload him. Or you have so many years left. This just creates even more problems for this marriage, for a guy that constantly has trouble in marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are multiple reasons why. I think they're going to try to downplay this. I think they don't want this to become a big deal. And if it comes out later today or tomorrow that Jimmy Butler has been fined a certain amount or been suspended for a game or two, it's going to become a bigger deal. It just is. So I think that's the biggest reason why that's not coming. And again, I do think I know this is cliche, but this, Big O. You've covered sports long enough. You've covered the Dolphins. Fights like this happen. This stuff happens behind closed doors. We don't see it, and it's different when it happens in the middle of a game like that. It is. It's a bad look. It shouldn't happen, but stuff like this happens within teams. I remember Udonis saying, 2006 team, him and Gary Payton got into a fight in the practice court, and Gary Payton got the mop stick and was trying to beat him with it, and they had to be broken up. I mean, stuff like this happens behind closed doors. I wrote a story today chronicling the last few times this happened with the Heat. A little different, but some kind of in-game altercations. Wade, I don't know if you remember, but Dwayne Wade went at Spo in 2012, I believe, in the middle of the Indiana Pacers series. Was not a good look. Became a huge story where Dwayne kind of went in Spo's face and had some words for him. And the Heat went on to win 3 straight after that and win the series, coming back from a 2-1 hole. Bumpgate, LeBron bumping shoulders with Spo, and the big story that came out to be, I think the Heat went on to win 22 of the next 23. Gary Payton getting into with Dwayne in 2006 during their finals run, and they obviously went on to win the championship. So I'm not saying something good is going to come out of this. It may not. There's no guarantee, but positives have come out of moments like this where maybe this team needed a wake-up call. Maybe it definitely has not been playing its best basketball the last few weeks, and it's not just his last 2 games. They're 3-4 in their last 7. So maybe this is what this team needed. Maybe something positive will come out of it, because in the past these moments have produced, some wins. After in the wake of it.
Yeah. So you think this is going to be a motivational thing to
I'm not.
to galvanize them?
I mean, that's the cliche, right? But I'm just saying there have been instances in the past, like I just brought up.
UD did not look like a galvanizing moment there. It looked like he was pissed that you disrespected his coach in a really nasty way.
Definitely, he was upset. You could definitely tell.
He lost it. I mean, I've never seen him act like that. I can see him act like that with an opponent. I've seen that. I've never seen UD, and I've covered that guy since he was a stingery dude. Okay, I covered the Frank Martin teams in high school. Yes, I'm old. All right. So I was in locker rooms. I was in halftime locker rooms with Frank Martin and UD and all those those Miami High teams, and watching him rip into those kids and watching him rip into UD and all the other kids. So I've seen UD in all kinds of heated situations. Never, ever, ever, ever have I ever seen him go after a teammate. And that, to me, I don't. I think the only way this galvanizes is if Jimmy Butler is truly sorry, and he shows that he is truly sorry and that he has learned from this. Because my problem with this, Anthony, and here's where he doesn't get any of the benefit of the doubt. This reminds me a lot of all the other stuff that's gone on in Jimmy's career.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of part of it. Like, I opened the show with this. Spo and UD have impeccable characters, impeccable leaders, impeccable professionals, impeccable commitment to this franchise. They cannot be questioned. They have all the benefit of the doubt. Jimmy Butler is, like I said earlier, he's the Kim Kardashian of the NBA. He keeps trying to find a wife here, and he can't find a wife. He keeps getting a divorce over and over again. That's the only way this galvanizes. That Jimmy Butler looks in the mirror and says, I got to stop being that Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. I mean, this isn't a one-off. Jimmy has a history of things like this. He's been moved around because of things like this. And we truly will not know if Jimmy, how Jimmy feels and what he's learned from this until we talk with him. We haven't spoken with him. I did hear from multiple people that UD and Jimmy were 2 of the last people in the locker room last night, and they kind of mended fences and things ended okay. Again, I heard from multiple people that was the case. So that is positive sign, I guess, especially on UD's, because UD, like I said, was very upset and was not happy in that moment. But it seemed like the situation was somewhat defused after the game. So I think whether it's a positive, whether it ends up waking this team up or not when it really needs it, because it has not been playing well, we'll see. But I think the Heat are going to quickly try to move on from this. That's just the way they do things. We even saw it last night in the comments. Everyone seemed to be on the same page, saying it was not a big deal. This happens. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if this is gonna linger with this team and loom over them over the next few weeks at the end. Toward the end of the regular season.
They can roll that bullshit out to somebody else that this means nothing. That's please give me a break.
And you have to think, right? I mean, they're humans. There's layers to this. It's not just what happened last night. This is something that's been building for weeks. It's not just because of what obviously last night was frustrating and guys were angry, but this doesn't just happen because of one game. This is something that you would think has been lingering.
Watch the play of the team lately.
Yeah.
You can see it. You've watched it. There's a malaise. There's I don't know if they're running out of gas.
Right.
I don't know what the hell it is.
It's interesting
some
because
of the older players, you just wonder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because multiple guys said yesterday after the game that it's been tough with the rotation changing and guys finally coming back from injury and trying to incorporate Vic and trying to incorporate Markieff Morris. We all saw it as a good thing that those guys are going to come back, but it's changed the equation a little bit. I mean, Gabe Vincent has gone from starting to playing off the bench in a 20-minute role to not playing. Max Strus playing really well. I mean, they were winning with those guys.
I know.
And now they're out of the rotation. I think it's affected everyone's kind of role because now they're playing with different guys. Minutes are a little bit different. And they admitted that that's kind of been part of the frustration is just trying to figure it out when they've been winning all year with the other guys. So,
but you got to be. You just got to be a pro and fight through it, man. And you get there. Listen, I thought the line from Spo last night that stuck to me was everything has to be better, including our leadership.
Yeah.
That was the shot across the bow right there. To me, that was the money quote of the night. We weren't going to get any truth from them on the altercation, but if you wanted to get something about how he really feels about what's going on, everything has to be better, including our leadership.
Yeah,
that says it all.
And if anyone still wonders why Udonis is on this team,
right?
Last night was it. And this moment is it. This is why Udonis is here.
Well, I've kind of said this. Spo's the cerebral coach, whereas Riley had his cerebral ways, but he was also a very motivating mental coach. That's not really Spo's game. Right. Spo's not going to be sticking his head in an ice bucket and trying to motivate you and trying to come up with these kind of stories and analogies and things like that. That's Riley. Riley is the guy that comes in there and he riles the troops up for lack of a better term and gets them going and gets them, screaming, what is it? Rob Roy or whatever. What the hell is that? That movie, Rob Roy, is it, or whatever it is from? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. One of you guys will know what the hell I'm talking about. Liam Neeson, bro. Rob Roy or is it Mel Gibson or whatever? What is it?
I'm bad at movies, big. I wish I could help.
Yeah, so one of you guys will know what the hell I'm talking about. But anyway, so he'll get you riled up and all. That's not really what Spo is. And Spo's really not the confrontational guy. So if you need a motivator, confrontational guy, well, there's UD.
Yeah.
UD's a guy, and I think that's kind of what he does in that locker room. He kind of polices the locker room for those kind of things.
Yeah, and it was interesting that Jimmy, again, we've seen this from Jimmy before, and Udonis is emotional, but to have the two guys involved with Jimmy to be Spo and Udonis, I think that says a lot because they are. I mean, Udonis is obviously the team leader, and Spo is the head coach who doesn't really show any emotion publicly. And both of those guys were extremely angry. So again, we don't know what was said. We have to obviously assume it was not. It was very bad to set them both over the edge like that. But we'll see when Jimmy talks next. He will have to answer some questions, and we'll see what he has to say.
All right, you got it, my man. That is that is what we're looking for. We're looking for some closure,
Yeah.
and we'll see if we get the professional closure. That to me, that will determine if this is going to die right there and then or will linger. If
Mhm.
Jimmy has the mea culpa moment, then it dies. If Jimmy is the guy that continues to fight the fight, then this is going to linger and it'll be a problem that they're going to have to deal with behind the scenes.
Yeah. This team need to win. This team needs Jimmy to be 2020 Jimmy.
Yeah,
And he's shown it in flashes this year, but it just hasn't been as consistent, whether it's because of injuries and different things, but it just hasn't been the Jimmy we've seen the last few years. And they need the Jimmy that they had last year even. Last year he was very, very good. They needed that consistently if they're going to win in playoffs and really make a deep run.
follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang and check him out there at the Miami Herald. Make sure you subscribe to the Miami Herald like I and many others do. And hopefully everything goes well next week. He is permanently with us every week here on the program a couple times a week. You'll be able to catch Anthony on Tuesdays and on Thursdays here with our Miami Heat reports. Anthony, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Of course, Big O. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir. There you go. The great Anthony Chiang, baby. That'll be part of our...